Hi everyone, and welcome to another classic movie review. Today we're going to be talking about a movie that I wouldn't generally consider a classic movie, I guess putting on the list because it's not Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. No, it's a martial arts film starring Bruce Lee, and this is actually my first Bruce Lee experience I've ever had. I've only seen this singular film, and I really want to see more of his films, so I'm trying to branch out and just broaden the sort of movies that I would consider watching and things like that. But I only saw Enter the Dragon because I was intrigued after watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and seeing the man that they had impersonating Bruce Lee. He was so confident and cocky and just really charmingly arrogant. And I saw out an interview with Bruce Lee. He was sitting across this host and just demonstrating how much control he had over his fists. And he was just so confident and cool, but very suave and charming. And I thought, this guy is so neat. I want to learn more about him. I want to watch more of his stuff. So Enter the Dragon was unfortunately Bruce Lee's final complete performance because he died very, very young, very prematurely from an accident. And so kind of makes me sad that this is this is his final film. All the other films I would see up until this point would just be what came before it. But I'm definitely trying to just experiment more and watch things outside of what I normally would. So I'm excited to take a look at this. Enter the Dragon was one of the first films that combined the martial arts genre with the blaxploitation genre, and that is a topic that probably deserves its own video just because there's a ton of history there and a lot of stuff to unpack. But basically the blaxploitation films were movies that had a lot of stereotypes in them, unfortunately, stuff that you'd roll your eyes at today, but were also some of the first films that showed black characters in hero roles and protagonists, and they weren't just the sidekick. They were kind of just, they got to be the stars. So I think that's a really cool, it's a neat way that cinema developed. The movie starts off with Bruce Lee, who is playing a character named Lee, just Lee, no first name. He's approached by a British spy agent who wants him to infiltrate this guy's martial arts tournament, Han.
What do you know about Han? He lives like a king on that island. Totally self-sufficient. I gather you still don't have enough to bust up his operation. We know everything. We can prove nothing. We want you to go in there as our agent.
So Lee enters the competition along with other contestants, Roper and Williams, played by John Saxton and Jim Kelly. And it doesn't take everyone very long to either get killed or find out that, yes, Han is definitely up to no good. And thus, the classic tale of good guys versus bad guys ensues, and it's so enjoyable to watch all the very choreographed scenes. And again, fighting movies aren't really my thing, but that in no way deterred me from finding this enjoyable because some of it is so over the top. It's definitely got a little bit of you have to suspend your disbelief for some of the things that you see. It's very much the quintessential action film. It's definitely goofy and over the top, but it does take itself seriously, so that makes it enjoyable to watch because it's not making a mockery out of itself. All three of the main protagonists, Bruce Lee, John Saxton, and Jim Kelly, were all very experienced with martial arts, so they knew what they were doing. And John Saxton is actually 84 today, and he has a black belt in judo. And Jim Kelly, who plays Williams, he had his own dojo. And that's actually how the producers for Enter the Dragon found him, because up until Enter the Dragon, Jim Kelly had no acting experience. So this was his first role, and he went on to film and to star in more martial arts / blaxploitation films in the 70s. But I thought that was really neat because they get to show off their skills as individuals first, not actors that had to learn the part, which that was really cool. There's actually some drama. John Saxton, so that he wouldn't be in the film unless his character Roper got to live and Williams got to die, because I think it was reversed at first. So unfortunately, Williams, he ends up dying before Roper does. But it's really neat to learn that they knew what they were doing while they were filming. And Bruce Lee, of course, is the figurehead of martial arts in the West, and just the rise and changing that conversation about how a lot of like Asian Americans were viewed during that time period. So it's got a really neat cast to it. And of course, being Asian, white, and black, the producers thought they would appeal to the widest possible worldwide audience ever. And apparently it worked, because the film grossed about $508 million internationally and domestically, and against its $850,000 budget, that's a pretty good turnout. The movie was filmed without any sound whatsoever, so all of the dubbing, all the sound effects are done post-production, and that's when you get those really fun pew, kind of comical cartoon sound effects for like guns going off and hitting things, which I happen to like. I think it's neat because it's not realistic. It's its own world, which is why I like movies. They don't have to entirely be so realistic. But the dubbing at first, I think I'd actually looked for a subtitle option, because in the beginning it can be a little bit jarring when the mouths don't match, and I thought, duh, there weren't ever any subtitles. No, it was filmed silently, and then everything was dubbed afterward, which is really, that's kind of, I mean, wow. That's like shooting a movie twice, because then having to say all the lines, then having to go back and film it. But yeah, more power to them, because after a while, you can't even tell. It kind of just moves along flawlessly. It doesn't really bother you. I briefly talked about this earlier, but Enter the Dragon was Bruce Lee's final complete performance before he died at age 32, and that is just so young. And it's so sad, because you can see the impact that he had as young as he was. The fact that he did so much in his short lifespan is really telling about just how important of an individual he is to cinema, and just to history, to making the conversation the way people felt about coexisting alongside Asian citizens better. So I really wish that I had grown up being more aware of how important and impactful Bruce Lee was, because I'm an Asian American. I feel like I just should have, it would have been nice to have more exposure to his films growing up. But it's never too late. I've got a lot of movies out there to catch up on of his, and I just think it's incredible that we had a person like him make such a big impact in movies and in history, outside of movies, just the general social improvements that were made due to Bruce Lee. So that's pretty impressive. And I really like the movie too. It was fun. It's goofy. Definitely, I don't think it'd be a family film, because there are some scenes in it with multiple ladies. Thank you, Williams. But overall, it's a really fun action movie. I recommend it if you just want something kind of goofy to watch. All right, thank you very much, and thank you for watching. I will see you next time, and have a good one. Bye.